Question number 19. A mutual fund made an issue of 10 lakh units of rupees 10 each on Jan 1, 2008. No entry load was charged. No entry load was charged. It made the following investments. So it is equity shares, government securities, debentures unlisted, debentures listed. And these total to 98 lakh. Okay. During the year, dividends of rupees 12 lakh were received on equity shares and interest on all types of debt securities was received as and when due. Okay. So interest on these were received. Interest. Okay. At the end of the year, equity shares and 10% debentures are quoted at 175% and 90% respectively of face value. Okay. So what is the face value? It is 100 each in this case. Okay. Next, other investments are valued at par. Okay. So this is valued at 90%, this is valued at 175%, and these two at par. Find out the net asset value per unit, that is NAV, given that operating expenses paid during the year amounted to rupees 5 lakh. Also find out the NAV if mutual fund had distributed a dividend of rupees zero point 0.8 per unit during the year to the unit holders. Okay. Question number 19. So what is NAV? NAV is assets minus liabilities. And if it is per unit, then this will be NAV and divided by number of units. Right? So this is how we will find out NAV per unit. Now, what all assets do we have? We have a list of assets, that is equity, government securities, debentures, and unlisted and debentures listed. Also, if you see, we are receiving a dividend of 12 lakh and we are receiving interest. So that means we also have cash balance, right? So assets given and cash that is computed, right? So assets anyway it is given, cash we need to compute. Okay. And what else is there? Liabilities. So any liability? No. Even operating expenses, it's not left unpaid, so it's paid. So there is no liability, right? So assets given, we can take the values from the question. So we need to compute cash. So first we will compute cash balance. Okay, closing cash balance. Computation of closing cash balance. Okay, now particulars, working amount in rupees, right? Opening balance, it is 0. Now it says that it made an issue of 10 lakh units of rupees 10 each. That means this is issue proceeds, right? So all the additions we will include here and all the subtractions we will include here. Now first is issue proceeds. It is given that at rupees 10, 10 lakh units are issued. Okay, so 10 lakh into 10 is 1 crore, right? Next, now what happened? So it made the following investments amounting to 98 lakh. Purchase of investments given 98 lakh. Next, what happened? During the year, dividends of rupees 12 lakh were received, and interest on all types of debt securities was received as and when due. Okay. Dividends received. This is given. How much? 12 lakh. Okay. Next, interest on government securities. How much is this? It is 7% is the interest rate. So 7% on 8 lakh. 7% into rupees 8 lakh. That comes to 56,000. Right? Next, interest on unlisted debentures. That is 9% on 5 lakh. 9% on rupees 5 lakh. That comes to 45,000. Next, plus interest on listed debentures. That is 10% on 5 lakh. 10% on 5 lakh. That is 50,000. Okay. Now, what else? If you see, operating expenses paid amounted to 5 lakh. So there's a cash outflow, right? Operating expenses paid given. This is 5 lakh, right? So now what is the closing cash balance? Closing cash balance. So opening balance is 0, and we have a list of additions and we have a list of subtractions, right? So performing this operation, we get 10 lakh 51,000. 10 lakh 51,000. So this is the closing cash balance, okay? And this is the working note 1. Working note 1, right? Now we will compute NAV per unit. Question number 19, computation of NAV per unit. Okay, particulars, working amount. First is it is assets, right? So what all assets are given? Equity shares, government securities, debentures, unlisted debentures, listed, and cash that we computed. So first we'll write cash. C, working note 1. It is 10 lakh 51,000, right? Next, equity shares. It is quoted at 175% of face value, right? So 50,000 equity shares into 175% of 100 is 175. So the value that we get, that we should consider. Equity shares. It is 50,000 shares into 175% of rupees 100. That is 50,000 into 175. It is 87 lakh 50,000. 87 lakh 50,000. Right? Next, 7% government securities. This is at par. Right? So it is 8 lakh. Government securities 7% at par. This is 8 lakh. Next, 9% debentures unlisted. 9% debentures unlisted. This is also at par. It is 5 lakh. At par, 5 lakh. Right. Next, 10% debentures listed. 10% debentures listed. This is at 90% of face value. So if this is 5 lakh, so 90% of 5 lakh will be 4 lakh 50,000. So it is 90% into rupees 5 lakh. That is 4 lakh 50,000. Okay. So with this, assets are done. Now any liabilities? No, we don't have any liabilities because even operating expenses are paid. Liabilities. It is 0. Okay. So assets minus liabilities will give us net asset value. Net asset value. That is, now let us calculate this. 10 lakh 51,000 plus 87 lakh 50,000 plus 8 lakh plus 5 lakh plus 4 lakh 50,000. That is 11551 triple zero. Okay, divided by number of units. It is 10 lakh given, right? So this will give us NAV per unit. NAV per unit 11551 triple zero divided by 10 lakh. It is 11.551. 11.551. NAV is 11.551. Now he's asking also find out NAV if the mutual fund had distributed a dividend of 0.8 per unit. Okay. So if mutual fund distributed 0.8 per unit, dividend distribution given 0.8 per unit. Okay. Then what will be the NAV? So NAV per unit will be after dividend distribution. It will be 11.551 minus 0.8. that is 10.751. 10.751, right? Therefore, NAV per unit before dividend distribution is rupees 11.551, and NAV per unit after dividend distribution is rupees 10.751. So this is the solution.